and say you have to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on how well you work with others or how well you think you produce product or something of such. You have to rate yourself. How can you go about this without overreaching or lying or
exaggerating?
Yeah.
Or exaggerating. That's a really good scale, and I like that when an interview asks that question because it puts both of you on the same page as far as the level of your confidence in anything. Using a computer database, working with others, whatever it may be, acquisitions, who knows. Be prepared to rate yourself on that 1 to 10 scale, and be honest. Okay. Now, when I say be honest, be completely honest. This is not the time for modesty, but it's also, as you said, it's not the time to exaggerate, right? So when you rate yourself, let's say you rate yourself at a 6 or a 7 at accomplishing a specific task, kind of give a concise explanation of why you feel that way. Some people say stay away from rating yourself a 10 because you always have room to grow. And I understand that. I don't see anything wrong with rating yourself as a 10 because if you're a 10 and you're highly effective at what you do, you're outstanding in your field of doing that, people are coming to you for advice. That's not to say you can't evolve at a 10, right? You can't evolve. So, now don't get me wrong, if you rate yourself a 10, you better be able to explain why you need a 10. But I would also talk about that. If you're rating yourself a 6, a 7, or an 8, rate yourself, explain why. But then also talk about what you're doing to get yourself to that 10. Right? To get yourself to that 10. Whether it be you're playing with the program a little bit more on your own, you're kind of figuring it out yourself. Working with someone who is a lot better than you to kind of teach you, mentor you, or maybe looking at their work samples. Or if you are a little bit lower on the scale, let's say you feel like your confidence level is a 3, your confidence level is a 4. What I would follow that up with is what do you feel it would take you to get to an acceptable level? I'll give you an example. Okay. Let's say I was up for a job that required timekeeping, right? And I had never used the timekeeping software you've used at your company. And you specifically asked me, Greg, how would you rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 using this specific timekeeping software? Well, if I've never touched it, it's going to be a really low rating, like 2, 3. What I would follow that up with is what timekeeping software do you have experience with? For example, I would say the timekeeping software I've used at my last company for the last 6 years is yada, yada, yada. From the time I was first exposed to it to the time I was confident and using it at an expected level, it took me about 1 month with some intermittent training and some playing with the software. So moving into this new job, I would expect myself to take no more than a month to be completely comfortable and confident using the program. And then tell them what you might need. I might need a little bit of training, and I might need some time to sort things out, and I might need a person to maybe review my work 1 or 2 times, but I'm very confident that I will be up to par in 2 weeks, in 1 week, in a month, and whatever that might be. So you're showing you're giving a comparison as far as like your learning curve that simplifies things.
That example you gave, that kind of goes back to applying for a job with minimal experience or something of that sort.
Yeah, you use something similar in nature, and I would talk about my learning curve. How long would it take to me to be completely confident in doing the job and doing the job independently, and what it would take to get you there? Would it be time? Would it be training? Would it be someone overlooking your work before it's actually officially submitted?
Right.
So those are some of the things that I would mention.
So when you apply to a company, you're obviously going to be working in a team.
Okay.
And what do you think interviewers think about showcasing teamwork and how you are able to work with a team?
Okay, so this actually stems all the way back to even the resume you write. Your resume is a highlight of your accomplishments. Your resume, the job interview is a collection of answers of things you have accomplished. Many things that we do at work, very few of them we actually do alone. So when you're answering an interview question and talking about an accomplishment you had, certainly talk about your contributions and the things that were accomplished within the team. I think it would be a mistake to take all the credit for something that you accomplished amongst a team. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
So certainly if you're working in a team, for example, let's say a grant writing team, and your job was to track timelines of getting the grant written, getting the resources,